My name is Knikole Taylor, and I am a blended learning specialist with Lancaster ISD. Lancaster is a suburb of Dallas, Texas. This is my 16th year in education, served as a classroom teacher, I'm an instructional coach, and now in this current role, I am an ed tech coach, but technology is everywhere. It's in everything that we do. So I'm leaning on my instructional coach knowledge to really support teachers from pre-K through sixth grade. I support all of the elementary campuses and the sixth grade center, and I'm really just leaning on that knowledge in order to help teachers infuse everything they do with technology. Here's my contact information. If you see something, and I'll show some examples if you want to actually see what it looks like from start to finish, or if you have some questions of how to get started, feel free to shoot me an email, or you can find me at Twitter at Knikole, Knikole. So by the end of our time together today, we will identify and discuss the many roles of an instructional coach. We will discuss the methods to differentiate coaching, and I'm going to share some of the tools and strategies that I have used to differentiate instructional coaching in order to help teachers grow so that they could, in turn, meet the needs of their students. So what or who is a coach? I have a Padlet here that if you would go to, and we probably won't take a full 2 minutes, but if you would go ahead and hop on there, tinyurl.com, define coach, and we will simply just discuss what it means to be a coach, and I will join you there. I'll throw the link in the chat also. Thanks, Greg. You're the best. Feels like you're talking to yourself when you can't hear anyone. And I do that, but it's usually when no one's around, so. And I'm always interested to see what people think, who people think a coach is. So I'm going to share this with you. And you'll see there's already some things on here because I have this conversation quite frequently as far as, who's a coach. A coach listens, encourages, models. One who helps to bring out the best in others by encouragement, realizing their strengths, and providing support when needed. An instructional influencer. I like that. I may have to use that. Listens. Definitely a listener. A support system that guides, mentors, and encourages teachers. Some kind of a facilitator, a sounding board. So we're on the same page when it comes to who a coach is. So that should help with the rest of our time together today. So what I have found in the last couple of years, coaching and working with teachers, that a coach is a teacher supporter, the person that stands along with the teacher to help them in whatever way that we possibly can. A coach is the person who provides professional development, helps to develop other teachers. A coach is a cheerleader. A coach also serves as oftentimes the truth. Oftentimes when teachers are in the hustle and the bustle, the day-to-day teaching students, which is so much. Oftentimes I've seen that it's very beneficial if I can just step in and be an extra set of eyes. They don't understand why this kid isn't progressing or why they can't break through with this student. Sometimes it's harder to see those things when you're in the thick of things. So I can kind of come in and help them. Also learn this true side that sometimes as a coach, you do have to have some of those hard conversations and really help teachers walk with them and help them to be reflective in their practices. So that's why you see the truth there as well. So how do we do it all? Because coaches wear so many hats, from helping teachers with pedagogy, from helping teachers with instructional practices, planning, data, so many things. I'm going to share some tips and tricks that I have learned along the way that have helped me to balance and learn it all. So my go-to strategy every year starts with a triage, looking at all of the teachers that I support. And I started this on a campus when I started with about 20 teachers, just pulling my hair out, thinking, how in the world will I support all of these teachers? And now that I've gone from one campus to several campuses, this tried and true method really helps me. So when I triage, the first thing I ask myself are, what are the characteristics of a lower performing or a less experienced teacher? And then I think about, what are the characteristics of a high or an exceptional teacher? And so if I know where I'm going, if I know that high teacher, and I know where that low teacher is, then I can kind of use that to gauge where all of the teachers are that I'm supporting. And so, of course, this triage looked different when I was a math coach. It looked different when I was a science coach, and it looks different now that I am working to support teachers in ed tech. So I'm kind of triaging along the spectrum of where teachers are, what I'm supporting them in, and where they ultimately should be based on what I am charged to support them with. So then, of course, like I said again, I build a plan of support, just looking at the teachers in need of the most assistance, and then all the way up to the exceptional teachers. So some of those things that I kind of listed and this came about actually during my very first year as an instructional coach. I was working for a brand new principal, also a brand new assistant principal. I was a brand new instructional coach, and then my partner had only been an instructional coach for a year. So the superintendent, our former superintendent, he just left actually in October. The superintendent came and said, hey guys, I want to help you. I see every time I come, you guys are kind of running around, and I want to help you work smarter, not harder. So he actually walked us through this process of really looking at your teachers in the same manner as, when I was in the classroom, how I would kind of look at my students in order to differentiate. So looking at, this is actually a snippet of the list, because I kept that list. We kind of talked about the teachers on the campus, and at that time there was one teacher who was just exceptional. Every one of his observations were like through the roof, great. We could never think of anything to really assist him on. It was always, what do you want to do? How can we help you? So we started with Mr. Keith, and we just kind of listed some things that really helped him to stand above the rest. One of the things is, he had exceptional classroom management. His room flowed, like there was no downtime. There was no time for kids to misbehave. It really, really flowed very well. The data showed that he was moving students. He was able to produce data from week to week to show that, this is where kids are, and this is where kids need to be. So that showed that he was a reflective teacher. His lessons were really engaged. The exceptional teachers, those are the teachers that when I go in their classroom to support them, I find myself lost in the lesson. I have to really be intentional to sit and take more notes. Or, after the class, I write down everything that happened, because I'm so engaged in the lesson. I want to sing the songs with the kids, or I want to do the activities, or I want to get in the competition. But those are the classrooms that are that are super engaging, not only for the students, but also for me as a coach. I find myself really sucked into their instruction. Exceptional teachers are the teachers that model for other teachers, either when you ask them to, or if they know a colleague is having a struggle with something, or if they've gone to a conference and learned something great, they'll say, hey, you know, swing by my classroom during your planning period. I'm trying this new thing. And he was definitely one of those who was doing that. Another thing for exceptional teachers that I put, and this is just thinking about when I was supporting him, is that they enjoy their job. He did teach with a certain level of joy. I have found that it is really hard to, you know, have all of these pieces in place when teachers generally don't enjoy being at work. That kind of comes through in their practices as well as in their instruction. So those are things for the exceptional teacher. If you look at the lower performing teacher, you can see that these are kind of pretty much the exact opposite. And this was Nick. He was exceptional. I will not share this teacher, and I can actually think I can see his face. He shall remain nameless. We'll protect the innocent. But just looking at this other teacher, he had little to no classroom management. And when I think of classroom management, I'm not just thinking about like rules, consequences, and rewards. I'm just thinking about structure, because oftentimes when that structure is in place and kids know how things are going to flow and know what should come next, and they know the order of things, those rules and things just kind of happen. Students were declining. Data showed that he was not making an impact on students rather, with his instruction. Students were disconnected to the lessons. They really did not understand or get what was going on. As an observer, this would be those classrooms that you go in and you are really fighting to keep your eyes open. The lesson is just not really engaging. And this would be the model of what not to do when I think of those teachers rather. So as an instructional coach, this right here has been a game changer for me. And I'll put the link to this this presentation. I'll make sure that you have this presentation so you have all these links and all these goodies as well. Is to start with a plan. A few years back, really started diving into personalized PD for myself as an educator. Really started looking into, okay, so I love my job. I love what I do. My principal comes up with great things, but what, you know, as a professional, there's some things that I want to learn on my own, which, I mean, you guys are here, obviously, because you were also learners. But what I started to do was to dive into personalized PD for my teachers. So this is a personalized PD plan. So before developing this plan, at the beginning of the year, I would pull up observation data and I'd say, hey, looking at your data, it looks like you need help in this area, and it looks like you're great in this area. So this is what you're going to do, and we would devise a plan. I kind of threw that out the window, and I would sit down with teachers and I would say, hey, what is it that you want to do this school year? When we look at the end of the school year in June, what do you want to say? Oh my gosh, I did this. And they may say daily 5, I want to tackle that. Or they may say math stations, I really want that to be solid. Or I really want my kids to have great conversations, or whatever that is. So I would always start with asking teachers either, you know, what is it that you want to learn, or what is it that you want students to do? I had a chat the other day with the author of the Personalized PD book, and he shared a great suggestion also. Some of those teachers who are on the lower end of the spectrum, the ones who are in the red, who really need more assistance, oftentimes it's hard for them to figure out what it is that they want to learn, because maybe they really are not enjoying their work. They're not really, plugged in as we would like them to be. Another question that you may start with is, what do you not like about your job? And so they may say, I hate grading papers. Great, we'll solve that. Let's go ahead and fix it. Starting with, what do you not like about your job, or what do you want to fix, or what do you want to learn? Always start with a question. And from those questions, the teachers actually set a goal. And then we have a plan of support. We take those goals, we actually tie them back. You'll see, let me go ahead and open this for you. Then it'll make a little more sense. So here is our personalized PD plan. And so I ask them, what is it that you want to do? Being that I'm ed tech, it's usually something tied with instruction in technology. This year, a lot of my teachers want to use more tech in mathematics. So if you have any tips for that, I'd love you to leave that in the chat as well. But I usually say, okay, what's your goal? What do you want to use? And then the rationale. This is where we go back and we dig through data, and we tie this with the things that we have to do. So starting right here with the goals, the things that we want to do, I'm then able to pull out observation data, walkthrough data, student performance data. Our teachers we're a TAP district, and so I'm able to look in our portal and actually see their growth from the last school year. And we say, why does this matter? 9 times out of 10, when a teacher has a goal, once we tie that back to data, there is a point, and they'll say, this is why this is low. If I can master this goal, then I'll be able to help students better. From there, I simply sit with teachers and I help them. We have a conversation. And we usually start with the action steps. Well, what do you think you need to do first? Well, maybe attend a training, maybe read a book, maybe you do a classroom walkthrough, perhaps do a webinar. I let them list out all of the action steps that they feel that they will need in order to attain this goal. Of course, I'll kind of interject and say, hey, have you thought about this? Or, I see that you have this. Do you need help in any of these areas? So we'll go through and we'll list the action steps. They'll put a time frame. We'll talk about how they'll know when they've actually mastered that action step to move to the next. And then tools and resources. And one thing there that I always share with teachers is that I'm a resource. Use me. So if, especially when it comes down to co-teaching, or I'll read a book with you. I'll go to a workshop with you. If you want someone to bounce ideas off of, or if you need someone, then I make sure that they know that they can list me as a resource as well. So we, of course, start with a plan. Now, once we have a plan, because even with 20 teachers with 20 plans, sometimes that can be a lot, and now I have a few more than 20 teachers. But what these other tools that I'm going to share with you help me to manage, I kind of call it managing all the coaching crazy, because it can get really hectic and really busy, because not only are you charged with as a coach with helping teachers to grow, but we have other things that we are charged with doing as well, as far as PD, and some coaches may be charged with doing so many walkthroughs or so many observations, what have you, as 6 weeks or a week. So these are some of the tools that have really helped me really to manage it all and best support teachers. The first thing is vision walks. So I kind of talked about earlier the exceptional teacher, how that teacher would support other teachers. This is simply teachers supporting teachers. A teacher being open to allowing other teachers to come in and glean from them. I placed a pineapple here because if anyone is familiar with the pineapple chart, at certain classrooms, they'll leave a pineapple outside the door and say, hey, you're welcome to come in. They may actually have a chart that says, this is what we're doing. You're welcome to come in. They may actually have their own personal goals and objectives that they want the person to leave them feedback on. What I've did is with vision walks is we call them vision walks in our district and on our campuses, because when we go in to watch other teachers teach, we have an objective. Generally, we're looking for one thing. And so these walkthroughs are usually over a chunk of time, like 20 to 30 minutes, where teachers are actually able to sit. They have a goal, they have an objective. Again, our teachers they're observed on a rubric. So generally they're looking for something specific that they want to improve on that rubric. And so they go in with an objective and they are simply looking for how this teacher helps them with that. So it usually starts with, I'll have a conversation and say, hey, this teacher needs help with this. Would you mind if we come in to observe? Or that teacher may say, hey, a teacher may come to me and say, hey, you know, I'm really struggling with getting students to rotate through their centers. Like, we're losing time there. Do you know anyone who's doing that well? And I'll say, yeah, let me look around, and I'll set that up for them. So we start with an objective. After the observation, we always debrief. We always sit and talk about what did we see? What can we learn from it? And then we plan. Okay, so this is what you saw. What did you learn? What do you want to use that you saw in that classroom? And so then we kind of set up a plan. So vision walks are great. And I always think it's beneficial for teachers to learn from each other. Sometimes those of us who are out of the classroom, it's not that they don't want our support, but it just carries a little bit more weight when they can go to someone who's in the trenches with them. So vision walks, they really help with that. Google Docs. So the form that I just showed you for the personalized PD plan is a Google Doc. So that is great for managing that. Once all of my teachers have set up their plans, I simply have on my schedule, check the plans for this grade level or check the plans for this campus, and I can go in and leave comments. I can go in and see if they've left anything for me that I need to do. It helps me to really be able to check in on them and be able to check in on them and support them from anywhere. Google Docs also help with, as an instructional coach, we would have to give lesson plan feedback. And so it really helps with lesson plan collaboration, because 9 times out of 10, teachers would divide and conquer, and I could jump in and give them feedback. So if they're planning on a Sunday, I could jump in and give them feedback from wherever I was any day of the week without having to necessarily take a planning period or have to meet before and after school. And teachers really appreciated that. Unit plans, again, just kind of being able to divide and conquer, and teachers being able to throw all their ideas on there. And I just put a couple of examples there, but anyone who's familiar with Google Docs, you know, it just kind of gives us the capability to work anytime, any place, without the need to necessarily have to give up. Conference periods are really sacred. And so instead of saying, hey, we're going to all come together to talk about this and write this out, we could just kind of go on a doc. And we've even had planning meetings on a doc, talking through the week when we were unable to meet face-to-face. Twitter chats. I love Twitter. Love Twitter. It's been very good to me professionally. I have learned so much on Twitter and made connections, grown so much as a professional by some of the connections that I've made on Twitter. One of the things that we would do is, again, I talked about, you know, that planning time and that before and after school time. I know that it's sacred time, and teachers often need that time to do whatever it is that they need to do to be successful or to be prepared for their students. So what Twitter allowed me to do is give my teachers flexibility. So I could say, hey guys, you're welcome to come meet with me during planning on Wednesday, Or I could send out an email and say, hey, watch this video. These are 5 questions that I want you to think about. And before we leave for the weekend, I want you to answer the questions and then respond to someone else's answer. And the conversation would be really, really, really rich. Teachers really enjoyed the flexibility. They enjoyed the fact that, you know, they could do it at any time, at any place. They could do it at home if they felt like it, or do it at school if they felt like it. They also like the fact that when we're usually planning during planning period, that's usually limited to a smaller group of people, whether it's a specific grade level or specific subject. But what I saw was the collaboration across grade levels and across content areas. And teachers really enjoyed being able to learn from people who they normally did not get to meet with. And if you want to look for the hashtag GWCPLC, that is a hashtag that we have used before, but I have that, we haven't, that's not like the golden hashtag. That was just, those are just smaller chats. I know that a lot of districts are actually having Twitter chats now to really foster that district-wide collaboration. I was just in a Twitter chat the other night on blended learning that a school district was having, and the conversation is really rich and really allows teachers to learn beyond their 4 walls and even outside of their district as well. The teaching channel. The teaching channel is a great resource for me because it again allows me to pull specific things based on teachers' needs. I'm able to shoot teachers a video and say, hey, watch this, and then we'll discuss, or kind of allows me to provide some flipped PD for my teachers. So if we're discussing something specifically, I could say, hey, go ahead and watch this, and they could spend their time watching that, and then we can dissect it and plan when we are face-to-face. They also have a new feature. It's not really new, but on the paid side, you can, if you have a paid account, where you can create personal learning plans. I've used them before, but I just found that I was able to do it free also by using Google Docs. But this is a great feature, and it allows you to go in and set up personal learning plans similar to the one that we have set up, but using their materials. You set up a purpose and a description, you set up a sequence of what you want to happen next, and then you assign that out. And then teachers are able to go through that and do that and collaborate. With the personal learning plans, I've had groups where it's just me and another teacher. I've did them for content area or for specific need. And I always say classroom management because I always have someone who needs classroom management. So maybe classroom management, a classroom management group, maybe an engagement group, just based on the need. Another tool that I have used with teachers is Atomic Learning. Atomic Learning offers online PD that is phenomenal. I have gone on Atomic Learning, and I've set through a lot of modules, PD for anything across all content areas, lesson plan writing, student voice, digital citizenship. They have a structure that you go through and you actually sit through the modules and you learn it. And then there's an application piece where you go through and you apply your learning through Do It, then you share it, and then there's a quick quiz in there where you prove it, and then you can actually get credit for that. Now, this resource here, the teaching channel and Atomic Learning, I think the next resource that I'm going to share with you also, these are not free, but if you have wiggle room and you may be looking to purchase something for coaching, I can probably get you some access for that for the remainder of the school year if it's something that you would like to try. I always think you should try before you buy. Sydme is another great platform that I have used with teachers. Unlike the teaching channel gives me a bank of videos, with Sydme, I use Sydme to videotape teachers. So again, very similar to the other personalized PD plans, teachers are able to set their own professional learning goals. And then I'm able to set up an iPad and video the teachers and then put the teachers in this cloud. You can either put them in a SIDME cloud, or SIDME, it does have a free side, and without using the cloud, you can I've actually used that side also, where you put the video on YouTube, and I would just unlist it and make it available only to those who give access to it. And again, put it in huddles based on the objective of the video, and then we can share a workspace in order to reflect and plan and talk about next steps. Here is a picture of what that looks like on the platform. So here's the video, and as you can see these little red ticks and green ticks. One thing that SIDME does allow you to do that I did like in comparison to the teaching channel, because they're both video platforms, is that I could leave feedback while I video. Because the one thing with coaching with videos is once you video it, then you have to go back and watch it again. So it kind of feels like you're a double observation. But with this platform, I am able to go in and actually, leave feedback where it happens. Awesome, engaging hook, or they go a little further and I think, ooh, right here where the student got stuck, you could have asked this question, or did you consider this? So I am able to leave time-stamped comments for teachers to work with later on. Blogging. Blogging is another powerful tool that I have been able to use with teachers, similar in the same fashion that I have been able to use Twitter, giving teachers back their time instead of taking their face-to-face planning time, meeting before, after school, able to go on and blog. And we have blogged over a wide variety of things. We've done collaborative book studies. We've read articles. We've written blogs on professional development that we've attended together to give each other feedback. It really just, it widens the horizons and the opportunities for teachers to grow and learn and reflect. And it really helps to cultivate a community of growth mindset within a building or within a district. Because when I blog, I try to be as open and honest as I possibly can. It's not all roses. Ask for support. Tell about my struggles. And with blogging, teachers, once they see that, it really helped them to feel as if they could do the same. So I'm going to hop on here to see questions. Before I keep going, because I am just talking and talking. And I'm going to look and see. Oh, Jennifer, I totally missed the introduction. Let's see. The name of the video feed that allowed for comments as the video is recording is called SIBME, SIBME. Yeah, the teaching channel is a great resource. Jennifer, I'm just all out of order. I see that you said I had 10 minutes. Girl, I'm just all out of order. Don't fire me. And again, these resources, some of them have a paid side. I would try the free because I've been successful just using the free side because free is always in the budget. And oftentimes when I was able to show success by using the free platform, I was able to kind of go to my administrator and say, hey, do you see what I was able to do for free? Can you throw me a couple dollars? How do you work with resistant teachers? Great question, Brian. You don't have teachers that are resistant, do you? They're never resistant. Video coaching has helped me so much with resistant teachers, because oftentimes what I would say is I go in with our observation framework, you go in and you do the observation and you just script, you write everything that happens in the classroom. So I would write something down and then you go to have the conversation and I would say, hey, yeah, I know, Brian, not in Texas either. So I would say, hey, did you notice this? Or did you consider this? And they'd say, I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing, video does not lie. Video does not lie. And so with video coaching, what I've used, and I've used an iPad, you can also purchase something. Are you guys familiar with a swivel? Let me pull that up and I can actually show you what a swivel is, because but you can easily get that done with an iPad. I always say start free. Start free, starts free. SWIVL and Swivel is great. I do believe they will allow you to try one out. If you send them an email and say, hey, can we try out a Swivel? I would like to try one. I think they'll send you one for 30 days. I know this time last year they would. So it's SWIVL, and this is a swivel here. Pull one up. This is a lady in action with her swivel. So your iPad would sit on this base and it simply plugs in here, but you'll see that she has something in her hand here. This right here is like a microphone, so it would pick up. And what happens is whenever the teacher moves around the room, the swivel will move with her. So it will record everything that she does, everything that's going on. Our district received a grant, so we had several swivels. So I just kind of started the practice of, I would just walk in the room and set up the swivel. This is after spending a semester building relationships and, making coffee and running copies, doing all those great things that we have to do to build those relationships. I would just walk in and do like a surprise, like a pop-up. Hey, I just need you to put this around your neck, and video the teachers. When I start off with video coaching, it's always a video that's just shared with me and the teacher. It's just shared with me and the teacher. Just like that one-on-one conversation, because I want them to see, like, this is not a gotcha. Like, my job is to support you. Like, I'm not doing my job if you're not getting better. So I would just video them and then shoot them the video and say, hey, when you have time, look at this and we'll meet on this date to discuss it. Let me see. Just something as simple as watch it and share with me your glows, the things that you are doing exceptionally well, that you are just knocking out the box. Also share with me your grows, where you need to grow, where you find yourself lacking, and then come up with a plan, or what do you think your next steps are? So if they kind of watch it and they kind of do like that pre-coaching, then when you sit down, then kind of helps with that conversation that goes, yes, Brian, that video is not going to lie. It's going to tell the truth. Yeah, I like the connected mic also, because sometimes, just depending, especially if it's a louder lesson, like if kids are moving around, which I love loud classrooms, but if kids are moving around and they're switching stations or what have you, sometimes that noise, it's harder to not pick up that noise. Yeah, I like that it'll follow these. Do you guys have any other questions? Jennifer, are they able to unmute or no? Yeah, and in a strong classroom, the teacher isn't staying in one place. Oh, that's true. So even if they unmute, I just wanted to see if they had the feature. I just wanted to see. That was a trick question. You passed. Um, so if you have any other questions, see how fast I got through that because I can't hear anybody. It's just, that's how the conversations in your head go. You just have them and then you're done. So how many teachers am I supporting generally at a time? I have 7 campuses now. So that's probably about 40. I probably have about 200 teachers right now. 200 teachers right now. So, and that's actually a good question because I don't know if you guys are campus based or if you are district based or regionally based. That is one thing that I've learned how to manage the crazy of having so many people. Because of course, when I have 20, we walk through the whole personalized PD plan and I know where they are from start to finish. But what I've learned now also is that I really just run with those who are ready. Some of the teachers just want to kind of stay in that formal box of this is my observation, this is my feedback. But now when it comes to, now that I'm an ed tech coach, and it comes to setting those goals and teachers who are really ready to step it up when it comes to technology with their kids in their classroom, everyone in the district that I support has a coaching plan, but not everyone in the district is actually working their plan. So when I have on my list that I'm actually, when I go through and I have it on my calendar to go through and check, I'm able to see like who's actually working it. So I have some teachers that are ready to run and I run with them. And then I have some that, I'll nudge them lightly and they're just not there. So I just kind of help them with that. Yeah, you definitely have to make choices. Front door. Yeah, that's been really hard. Yeah, 60. Yep, you want total buy-in, especially those of us who are, I'm a self-proclaimed nerd. I just love to learn, so I soak it up, and then I'm like, somebody take this. Look what I learned. And I've just learned that you hardly ever have total buy-in, except when it's, hey, let's meet online instead of face-to-face. So how do you move people from the box to ready to run? Been in position a couple years, some want to stay in the box. So that's a really good question. Jennifer, did you get these questions? Did you tell them to post these? These are good questions. So what I worked for, it really comes down to, because I was a coach and I really see my standpoint as a coach as simply support. I only support. Kind of look at it when you go to the doctor. So I can go to the doctor with a tummy ache, with a fever. I can say, I'm so sick. He gives me the medicine, but it's up to me to do it. So I kind of see myself in that same light. They come to me. I help with the diagnosis. We walk through the process together. I help them diagnose the problem. We build a plan together. But if they're not working the plan, then I'll come back and we'll tweak it. I usually will come back a good 3 times before I will go to the principal and say, hey, this is an issue. I need some support here. And then it will kind of turn into that. Again, if it is, if they're not ready to run, some people do well walking. Everybody's not ready to be necessarily out of the box, when it comes to like Genius Hour and using Google Classroom and turning on Chromebooks and turning on iPads. And I'm fine with that. But when I'm thinking back to, as an instructional coach, if, classroom management is so bad that nobody can learn or kids are in danger, students are not moving, that's a different, so that's a different conversation. And I always would tell teachers, our conversations, what you say to me stays with me, but they knew that I'm also held accountable. Someone's hired me to do a job and they're checking in to see if I'm supporting you. So as I'm having those conversations and the principal's like, hey, I know you've been hanging out with this first grade teacher for a month and nothing's happening, then I may say, hey, yeah, these are the things that we've tried. Can you suggest anything else? So if they're not ready to run, I would suggest walking with them. If they can't walk, then you may want to pull in your support. 6 high schools, so many teachers, but I have found that small group content focused coaching is helping. Yes, small group. Yep, yep. Yeah, attorney-client privilege, yes. What does success look like to me? Success look to me, that is a really good question too. It's shifted. I can say in the last couple of years, it has shifted for me. When I started, success looks like through the roof test scores. So not a picture of success. Success to me is when I go in classrooms and teachers are teaching and kids want to be there. When teachers want to be there, when I'm walking by a classroom, a teacher can say, "Oh my God, Nicole, come look at this. I need to share with you." Or, "Hey, you gave me this strategy and I used it and it actually works." Success looks like to me that teachers are comfortable taking risk, even if they fail. I mean, I believe like failure is such an important part of learning, but teachers are comfortable taking risk. And the thing that I've learned that if we can, yes, fail forward. I'm really good at that. If we can get teachers to a point where they love to be at work, that really is infectious to their kids. When kids want to be there, they will learn. The test scores will come. The classroom management will come. But that's what success for me. Success for me is when I teach a teacher to fish. I don't feel like I need you anymore. Yes, that's it. When they can let your hand go and go fish on their own. Amen, sister. I definitely agree with that. Yeah, joy is definitely infectious. I definitely agree with that. That is very true. Okay, so we have about 3 minutes left, and Jennifer, you're great. I want you to come home with me because you just keep me on task. Anybody have any other questions? So in closing, I'm just going to jump back here because this is something that I don't ever want to go to a training or do a training and people walk away and nothing is applicable to what they do. I just want you guys to think, okay, so we just spent all this time talking about all these tools. If you could, in the chat, I want you to talk about what is a goal, like what is something that you see yourself doing someday. Maybe, hey, I'm going to build a relationship so that eventually I can video coach. What are your next steps? Someday I will. And then think about Monday. Maybe Monday you'll dive into Twitter. Maybe Monday you'll sit down and have a conversation with that reluctant teacher and ask them what do they hate about their job. So if you could just drop that in the chat, what are your next steps? Someday I'm planning on it. It may happen. And then Monday. And again, this is my contact information. Feel free to contact me at any time. I feel like my job is to support, and we are in this together. So let's help each other. It's great to make connections, and feel free to ask me any questions. Just know that I will probably do the same. Yeah, contact Swivel, Alicia. Oh, Jennifer. Jennifer, you're the cool one. I want your glasses. Awesome. Awesome, Kristen. Get ready to run. Yeah, definitely. I've really enjoyed this. So, Jennifer, you have my contact information. If anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. Oh, awesome. And you may want to, if you're exploring video coaching, you may want to start by video yourself. Giving PD and give us and feedback. Okay, well, Jennifer, is that my 3 minutes? Yes, you can get the link to my slideshow. I'll put it on the doc, and I'm sure Jennifer knows the powers that be. They can put it on the site.
Yeah, we'll get that link up for you guys on the webpage, so you'll
someday.
be ready.
Yep, Jerry, that's great. Personalized learning plans. Jerry, get ready to run. I love it.
Can you all
Thank you guys so much.
Can you all hear me in the chat? Even though Nicole can't? All right. Great. So let's give her a thank you, guys.
Awesome.
Thank you very much.